Welcome back to the Easy DevTuts HTML tutorial. In my last video, I explained the difference between block level and inline level elements, and I gave a brief example of the header tag, which is a block level element, and what it's used for. Um, I'm going to start listing a few more tags, and we're going to start with one called the H group. Now, I haven't mentioned this before, but something that's really convenient about this brackets editor is that it gives us a list of some of the elements that are available to us. For example, if I start typing out the next element that I'm going to use, which is H1, you'll see this cool little drop down that allows you to select it. I guess I'm a liar. It doesn't allow you to select it, but it shows you, I guess, the tags that are available that start with an H. Anyway, um, we'll get rid of this for now. The H group tag is a block level element. And what the H group tag does is it blocks or groups all of your header information, header tags. And as you can see, as I mentioned before, you get the drop down of all of them that are available to you. And they're written as follows: H1 and of course H2 and all the way through 6. I'm going to go ahead and type those out really quick, and then we'll write some text within each of them, and you'll see why they're organized differently. Let's go ahead and finish by doing the 5 and then finally the H6. And within each of these, we'll just identify which one is being used. So of course in this one I'm going to put header 2 and header 3 and so on. Oops. And your header information is usually like the title of the page, or maybe you have a subtitle or a title and a subtitle and other information. For example, if you have a blog, maybe it's the title of your blog, and H2 could be like a subtitle or something. When I save that and I switch back to my browser and I refresh it, you'll see that the H1 is the largest, and the higher you go in the level, the smaller your text becomes. Your H1 tag, as I said, is the largest, and there's a few things to point out about this. Your H1 or your header 1 tag usually contains the most important information about this page. So you wouldn't want to put an H6 above an H1 because semantically that would be a little kind of wacky, you could say. So your H1 is the most important information on your page, and also it should only be used sparingly, so maybe 1 or 2 times, but you don't, or I guess a few things you want to remember: you don't want to use it too much, and you don't want to put it below an H2 or an H5, especially not an H6, because semantically what you're saying is this is some of the most important information about this page, and it requires the largest or the most emphasis, which is why the font size is the largest. If for whatever reason you're designing your website or your web page and you don't want your header 1 font to be this large, or maybe you want it to be larger or smaller, actually maybe not larger in this case, but let's say you wanted it to be a little bit smaller, don't substitute it for an H2 tag because you want it to be smaller. You should use CSS for that instead. So what I'm saying is your H1 tag, if you look back into your code, is going to say this is the most important header. And it wouldn't matter if you wrapped it in an H2. Well, actually, I should say, if you decided to wrap this in an H2, this statement would no longer be true semantically. I mean, it can mean whatever you want, but what I'm saying here and the point I'm trying to drive across is your H1 tag should be used as little as possible, and it should only define the content within the header that is the most important. So maybe it's the title of your website, and your subtitle would be usually in the H2 tag, and it's going to be stuff that's just as important as the H1, but uh, requiring a little less emphasis. So maybe a website for learning about, I don't know, web development. That would be my title. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. So again, put the most important information in your H1 tag, and then as you go down in font size or higher in level, I should say, you would put content that semantically content that is semantically correct. So just a brief overview of what we've just gone over. The H group is a block level element that only should contain header elements, and there are 6 levels to those, and which in each of those levels you should display content depending on how important it is. The H group should only contain header level elements, so you don't want to throw like a P tag or something, a paragraph tag within that, because semantically that would be incorrect. It is not semantically incorrect to exclude the H group. So if you wanted to, you could add a P tag just below your H1. Oops. And there would not be a problem with it. And that's pretty much it for this video. Keep on watching and we'll go over more elements. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you know anyone else interested in learning about HTML, by all means, please share. Thanks for watching.